K-pop idols are known for having some very intense fandoms who would go above and beyond for their favorite artists. However, this intensity sometimes gets translated into straight-up harassment and pushing boundaries, sometimes putting these idols' safeties and lives at risk. Even though Park Bo-gum hasn't been an idol for quite some time, that didn't stop some fans from taking things too far during his recent fan meeting tour Be With You. On September 17th, during his stop in Monterrey, Mexico, he decided to step off the stage and walk among the audience while performing, wanting to make the experience more personal and connect directly with the crowd. What started as a touching moment quickly spiraled out of control when some fans began grabbing him aggressively, with one person even pulling him close and holding him by the waist without his consent. Security immediately intervened and managed to free him, but the incident clearly left Bo-gum startled. Despite the uncomfortable situation, he stayed composed, kept his smile, and continued his performance even as hands kept reaching toward him from every direction, turning what should have been a warm moment into something unsettling to witness. One fan commented, "Bo-gum is already being mindful and kind enough to go down the aisle to let us see him up close. The least we can do is to keep our promise not to stand up and remain in our seats." That night turned out to be far more overwhelming for Park Bo-gum than anyone expected. Another video from the same event began circulating online, showing him trying to make his way through the upper section of the venue while fans kept touching and grabbing him inappropriately. The scene quickly spread across social media and left many people furious. Viewers were especially upset because Bo-gum had gone out of his way to create a genuine, up-close experience for his fans, only for that kindness to be taken advantage of. Instead of appreciating the rare moment, some crossed clear boundaries and ignored his consent entirely, turning what should have been a memorable night into a deeply uncomfortable one. As a fan of his best put it, "This is not being brave, this is not even just being rude or just being disrespectful. This is sexual harassment, leave him alone." BTSV recently faced a situation that started off calm but quickly turned into something he clearly wasn't happy about. After wrapping up his time at Paris Fashion Week as Celine's brand ambassador, he returned to South Korea on October 7th. The moment he stepped off his flight at Incheon Airport, a crowd of fans was already waiting for him. At first, he appeared cautious and motioned for them to stay back, but once he noticed everyone staying behind the barriers and behaving respectfully, his mood shifted. He began giving thumbs up, a small gesture showing his appreciation for the peaceful welcome and how fans were giving him space. It was a refreshing change, especially since he had previously spoken about how unsafe the airport can get when fans start crowding him, something he experienced firsthand while leaving for Paris. For a moment, it really seemed like things had improved and that fans understood how serious those situations could be. But the calm didn't last long. Suddenly, the crowd started closing in and the peaceful atmosphere disappeared as fans began mobbing him again. The disappointment on his face said it all as he quickly withdrew the warm gestures he had given earlier, looking visibly let down by how quickly the situation turned. It was a reminder of how often he's put in uncomfortable situations like this, leaving many fans heartbroken to see him go through it once more. A Twitter user said, "It's already one thing that some people always go to the airport, but this behavior is just insane." Another fan was angrier, writing, "He vocally expresses his discomfort and tells y'all to get away for not just his boundaries and safety, but for yours as well. When will you learn?" Gosh, for idols like him, it almost feels like a lose-lose situation. If he stays quiet, fans take his silence as approval and keep crossing lines. But when he actually speaks up and says he's uncomfortable, the same behavior continues as if nothing changed. It leaves you wondering what someone in his position is even supposed to do when every choice seems to backfire. Moments like these make it painfully clear why debuting idols who are still in their teens or even younger should never be normalized. It's unsettling to see minors constantly exposed to inappropriate or overly personal behavior from adults, and it's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. This has become especially apparent with the rookie group Rudest, whose members are extremely young, the oldest born in 2005 and the youngest in 2009. Despite their age, they've already faced uncomfortable situations, two of which spread widely online because of how disturbing they were. One of those incidents involved member Martin during a fan sign event. The fan he was speaking with was noticeably older, and their exchange quickly drew attention for all the wrong reasons. She began by asking Martin to guess her age, and when he politely said 23, she corrected him, saying she was actually 25. Then she asked him to guess her job, to which he replied that she might be a stylist. She admitted she was unemployed and started talking about how she didn't know what to do with her life. Because Martin had debuted at such a young age, she said she wanted advice from him on how to figure things out. Trying to stay kind, Martin told her to just try different things until she found what she liked, but the fan kept insisting she didn't know what she was good at or what to do next, making the whole interaction feel uncomfortable and strangely heavy for someone his age. To this, Martin responds with, "You gotta find that. You can't just be sitting down and being like, what am I good at? You gotta actually go outside, try everything." unsettling. The fan didn't seem satisfied with Martin's advice either and told him that figuring out what she enjoyed was harder than it sounded. That moment quickly spread across Twitter, where people couldn't stop talking about how uncomfortable it felt. Many pointed out how strange it was for a 25-year-old to ask a teenager for guidance about her life, especially someone she didn't personally know. What made it even more unsettling was the fact that she had paid to see him at a fan sign, only to use that brief moment to vent her frustrations and personal struggles to someone far younger who had no real way to respond. A user wrote, "Fully developed frontal lobe unemployed 25-year-old asking a 17-year-old boy for life advice at a fan sign." People online didn't just find the interaction strange, but they were also frustrated by how it played out. Many pointed out that Martin was doing his best to give sincere and thoughtful answers, trying to encourage her in the kindest way possible. Yet everything he said was dismissed. No matter what advice he offered, she immediately found a reason why it wouldn't work, leaving viewers uncomfortable with how she kept shutting him down while he was simply trying to help. But things didn't stop there, as another moment involving the youngest member, Kanho, drew even more concern. During a fan event, an older fan made an extremely inappropriate remark, calling him the sexiest 09-liner. The comment instantly spread online, with many people disturbed by how uncomfortable and unacceptable it was. The situation quickly sparked wider discussions about the risks of debuting minors, especially since incidents like this show how easily young idols can be put in unsafe situations. Others also pointed out the double standard, noting that if an older man had said something similar to a young female idol, the outrage would have been much louder and far more widespread. Comments from netizens said things like, "Do you really want to say that kind of stuff to someone born in 2009? If I were that kid, I would have been cursing you out in my head, and if a man had acted like that to Ian, it would have caused a huge fuss." But the concerning behavior doesn't stop at airports or awkward fan events. Pentagon's Yanan recently faced something far more alarming. On September 26th, his team shared a post on Weibo revealing that 3 fans had followed him from the airport all the way to his home. CCTV footage later showed them climbing over a garage barrier and wandering around inside his residential complex. The studio quickly reported the incident to the police, who stepped in right away to handle the situation. What made the story even more shocking was the fact that the people involved turned out to be minors. They later wrote apology letters, admitted to what they had done, and promised not to repeat it. Still, the idea that young fans were willing to trespass and break the law to get close to him was deeply unsettling, showing just how unsafe and invasive things have become for idols today. Another alarming situation unfolded with GOT7's Jackson, who is usually celebrated for his warm and playful interactions with fans. Many expected his tour stop in Thailand to feature the usual heartwarming moments, but things quickly took a turn. During one performance, a video surfaced that immediately went viral, showing a fan rushing onto the stage. While fans occasionally join Jackson on stage, this particular clip stood out, which was shot from multiple angles. It showed a shirtless male fan making his way to Jackson and kissing him on the cheek. Jackson's reaction was unmistakable. He looked clearly shocked and caught off guard. Some viewers found the moment amusing or lighthearted, but many others quickly spoke out, highlighting just how uncomfortable and unsettling Jackson seemed throughout the encounter. One comment under a TikTok said, "I feel bad for Jackson. Nobody should be kissed without their permission. He looks shocked." Another user wrote, "I wouldn't want another man doing that to me either." It's shocking how often idols' efforts to be kind and connect closely with fans are met with disrespect. When they step out of their way to create personal, meaningful moments, some fans exploit that openness, crossing boundaries and even engaging in harassing behavior instead of appreciating the gesture. What do you think about all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the stories we have coming up. And when fans cross boundaries, it doesn't just stop at words. Sometimes idols have even been physically attacked.
In today's video, we're taking a deep look at the times when our favorite idols were attacked and horribly threatened by their fans. Keep on watching. GOT7's Jackson. As heartbreaking as it is, our beloved Jackson Wang is no stranger to scary experiences and attacks with supposed fans. I mean, our boy meets Sasaengs almost on a daily basis. The first time these attacks got really serious and took up a physical form was way back in September of 2016. When Jackson first arrived at Xiamen Airport, people noticed that the singer seemed to be in a lot of pain. A female staff accompanied and supported Jackson, who was seen to be physically in pain as his hand was against his back. Of course, as any other fan would, Agassiz became really worried, and it got even worse when the reason for Jackson's injury was revealed. When Jackson was arriving at Xiamen Airport, a group of Sasaengs actually crashed their car into the back of Jackson's vehicle. Obviously, if Jackson was sitting in the back seat, his back must have sustained some sort of injury. Thankfully, Jackson was given all the medical care that he was needed and ended up being okay. Still, it must have been a really scary experience because JYP actually released a statement begging people to be more careful when they meet their idols and that following anyone's car is a dangerous thing to do. Jackson also did not participate in the JYP Nation concert, which took place a few days after the incident, and I guess everybody can understand why. The second time Jackson found himself in a risky situation was just a few months later in December of 2016. Although he wasn't visibly injured, the situation must have been traumatizing either way. Jackson was scarily mobbed at the Beijing airport. The singer was quite literally stuck in a mass of people who pushed him around, making it incredibly difficult for Jackson to move forward. The situation got so bad that Jackson ended up crouching down, begging the fans to give him some space to move. In the videos from this incident, Jackson can be heard saying, "Can you listen for once? Do I need to get down on my knees?" But it still took a long time before the fans started to move. After it happened, Jackson took to his Weibo account to address what happened. Since Jackson is such a sweetheart, his main priority was the safety of his fans and that his heart aches when he sees his fans get hurt because of him. To be honest, Jackson had every right to call these people out, but because he's too good for this world, he didn't. Hopefully, none of this will ever happen again. Girls' Generation's Taeyeon. Even though fans are the people that give idols so much love and support, sometimes their love and passion can bring the worst out of them and their actions become terrifying. Back in 2011, when the girls were performing at the Angel Price Music Festival, something horrifying happened to Taeyeon from Girls' Generation. As the girls were performing, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared on stage and went straight to Taeyeon as he forcefully dragged her away. Even though the singer tried to do everything she could to get away from him, the man was still stronger than her, and Taeyeon was pulled away from the stage. It was obvious that Taeyeon was struggling to break free from him. Imagine how scary that must have been. Thankfully, Sunny was the one to follow the man to pull Taeyeon away, and the security guard was quick to stop him as well. The rest of the girls continued to dance for a while, but once they realized how serious the situation is, they quickly huddled around Taeyeon to protect and comfort her. This incident caused a major uproar in the fandom, and it spread to netizens as well. To this day, everybody struggles to understand what the man's intentions were, because who the hell tries to drag a famous person from the stage in the middle of their performance? At the least, it's a relief knowing that Taeyeon wasn't hurt physically. As it unfortunately sometimes goes, history repeats itself. Fast forward to 2017, Taeyeon was attacked once again, this time at the airport in Jakarta. Straight from the beginning, Taeyeon was mobbed by a mass crowd of aggressive fans. The crowd was so huge that you can't even see Taeyeon. The security guards did everything they could to stop these fans from hurting Taeyeon, but it was so overwhelming to the singer that she broke down crying. At some point, Taeyeon even fell to the ground under the pressure of the whole crowd. To protect Taeyeon from the mass, a security guard picked the singer up, which fans found concerning. Of course it was done with good intentions, but even Taeyeon herself was shaken up by the sudden action. On her Instagram, Taeyeon shared that she hopes no one will get hurt in the future, and that this was hopefully just a one-time thing. I couldn't agree more. BTS's Jungkook. Not always are people's acts of kindness appreciated the way that they should be. I think it's safe to say that Jungkook knows this the best. The singer is known for his golden heart and how vocal he is about the love he holds for ARMYs. Well, exactly this got him into an uncomfortable situation. Back in 2019, during their Love Yourself, Speak Yourself tour, BTS had 2 tour dates in Paris, France. The shows held many wonderful moments and surprises, like Halsey being their guest, but nothing was like the moment when Jungkook jumped off the stage into the crowd. Due to safety precautions, BTS almost never go directly into crowds to greet their fans, but Jungkook noticed an ARMY in a wheelchair and wanted to say a personal hello to them. Well, this is when everything went wrong. Like bees to flowers, Jungkook immediately attracted a flock of ARMYs that began mobbing him. Even though Jungkook gestured to the fans to move back, it's like the fans turned a blind eye on him. Of course, thousands of fans were disappointed by this behavior towards Jungkook and the particular ARMY. Not only was Jungkook in danger, but the fan was as well. Thanks to this action, BTS fans trended the hashtag #RespectOurEuphoria on Twitter, along with thousands of reminders of safety precautions and respect towards the artist. It didn't take long for the affected ARMY to speak up about the situation on Twitter. They kindly asked fans to stop cursing on French ARMYs because it wasn't just them who attacked Jungkook. Fortunately, none of the people involved were injured, but still, this must have left them feeling so anxious and freaked out. 17's Joshua. Fan signs are supposed to be a safe and happy environment for both the artists and their fans. Usually, these events go pretty smooth without much inconvenience. Sadly enough, it wasn't like this for Joshua from 17. This incident happened all the way back in 2015, just a few months after 17's debut in May of 2015. It's safe to say that the boys were excited to meet their fans and share some heartwarming moments with them. But all of this was ruined when a fan got furious. Apparently, the angry person was a Chinese fan and an owner of a fan site for the boys, which makes it even more confusing. When it was her turn to talk to Joshua, the fan suddenly took the signing papers from Sungwon, who was next to Joshua, and threw them at the singer. At that time, the video spread like a wildfire, and understandably so, because the members looked shocked. The alleged reason behind the sudden outburst is that Joshua frowned at the fan when he saw them. Mind you, during this time, Joshua was suffering from a pretty annoying sty in his eye. In pictures, it's visible that his left eye is really swollen, and surely it wasn't pleasant. Due to this condition, the fan portrayed it as Joshua being not interested in her, or even displeased. Strangely enough, Joshua talked about his condition numerous times during the fan sign, and he chose not to wear an eye patch so that he can make proper eye contact with their fans. Yet, it seems like this fan couldn't understand that. As if this fan's outrageous behavior wasn't enough, she then took to social media and made a series of angry posts. In these posts, the person bragged for whatever reason about having more money than anyone else, which nobody cared about, and even told the people who scolded her for her bad behavior to F off. I mean, chill out, girl. After her outburst of anger, she did apologize properly for her behavior, acknowledging that she probably hurt Joshua with her actions and that she hoped people would continue to give love to the group. Ever since then, her fan page has closed down and she's no longer a fan of 17, which might be the best. Super Junior's Hongyoung. One of the acts of kindness from fans is giving their idols various gifts. These can vary from little things to really expensive designer pieces. As heartbreaking as it is, it's not always like this, and sometimes these so-called fans can use this as a way to harm their favorite idols. But this case is a little bit more sinister than the other ones. Back in 2006, Super Junior's Hongyoung was the center of constant threats from his anti-fans, suspectedly because he was a member from China. Due to this, SM Entertainment arranged some activities back in his homeland of China as to help the singer escape the Sasaengs, but the escape gave him no protection at all. Unexpectedly, the Sasaengs appeared in China as well, causing Hongyoung even more pain. According to a witness, a so-called fan wanted to give the singer some gifts after they encountered him on the ride back to the hotel when his schedule was over. After the fan gave him their gifts and a cake, they requested to have a picture taken with Hongyoung, but the staff found something strange about them and politely declined, claiming that Hongyoung was sick. And thank God they did, because what they found in the box was straight out of a horror movie. In the box, there were small bags of blood, a sharp knife, and a stabbed picture of Hongyoung. How terrifying is that? Hongyoung and the staff immediately understood that this was done by a Sasaeng fan, and they sent the cake off for some testing. When the results came back, they couldn't believe their eyes. It was concluded that the cake contained a lot of nameless poisonous powder, making this fan's intentions very clear. They wanted to get rid of Hongyoung. Because SM Entertainment wanted to keep Hongyoung's Chinese activities private, they never made a public statement regarding the situation, which, if you ask me, is super sad. The reason behind this attack were the anti-fan communities back then, which were strongly against Hongyoung being in Super Junior simply because he came from China. They made it really obvious they didn't want Hongyoung in the group and were very vocal about it. I mean, when Hongyoung attended an event to celebrate his birthday, a Sasaeng managed to sneak in, yelling foul words at Hongyoung and telling him to go back to China. When the staff pulled him away and did a search on him, they found a bottle of sulfuric acid in their bag. How insane is that? Thankfully, Hongyoung wasn't physically harmed in the process, but it makes you wonder, what if he did accidentally eat the cake? And what if the staff didn't pull the Sasaeng away? I don't know about you, but these things are literal nightmares.
But verbal attacks and rude behavior are far more common than most realize, especially for groups like Stray Kids. How incredibly rude and disrespectful fans can be towards the idols they claim to love is astounding. Stays, the fandom name for Stray Kids fans, can be very supportive and loving towards the group, but sometimes they cross the line. In July of 2023, a Stay went viral for her video call with Felix for all the wrong reasons. While many fans used this opportunity to praise their idol, ask for advice, or tell a funny story to make their idol smile, this fan used her experience to make Felix visibly uncomfortable. The fan call started seemingly innocently, with the fan and Felix chatting about food, when the fan suddenly asked, "So, you like to have dessert before dinner?" Understandably, Felix didn't know the fan's question was an inappropriate innuendo, so he tried to find a reasonable way to answer that he sometimes does. The fan then said, "No, I mean, I'm the dessert." Felix was obviously shocked by the fan's response, but before he could process the the fan's statement, she added, "So did I just remind you who I am?" As soon as the clip was posted on Twitter, many fans and netizens were taken aback by the fan's behavior. They were angry because Felix seemed genuinely excited to talk about food, but his whole mood changed when the fan made the horrible comment. The majority of them agreed that it was disgusting to make comments that would make idols so uncomfortable. Fans also argued that other fans should use the few minutes on a video call to praise the idol or just talk about ordinary things instead of being straight up disgusting. They pointed out how idols should be able to end the video call or leave when the fans are being disrespectful or rude. Even though Felix dealt with the situation with a smile on his face, many fans couldn't even watch the fan call without getting uncomfortable. The toxic beauty standards of the K-pop industry are often discussed among K-pop fans. Many have raised concerns about the extreme lengths idols will go to just to reach those standards. Weight is a very sensitive topic to many people, but Bangtan wasn't afraid to shut down a malicious fan making rude comments about his physique. During one of the episodes of Chani's Room, the topic of weight was brought up when Bangtan read a comment that said,
"Chan, don't get fat."
Understandably, many fans were shocked to see the comment and immediately began to defend the idol. Bangtan himself addressed the comment saying,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being fat.
He then went on to explain that weight gain for him was something important since he wanted to build his muscles. He added that because he has fast metabolism, he has to eat a lot so he can start building his physique. Bangtan then talked about his eating and exercising habits, and many fans thought that it seemed like he was trying to justify what he just said after reading the comment. Even though his response to the rude comment was very calm, fans definitely weren't on the same line. Many thought that it was very disrespectful to Bangtan since he opened up about his struggles with food and weight in the past. The idol was also praised for explaining that gaining weight is something to not be ashamed of. A lot of idols often talk about dieting and having to lose weight before comebacks, so stays were pleasantly surprised to see Bangtan's positive take on weight gain. The group's popularity has been soaring in the past years, and while it's very rewarding to see their hard work and dedication pay off, their appearances in public can get dangerous just because of how many people come to see them. It's not unusual for fans to come greet their favorite idols at the airport, but those situations can get out of hand very quickly. In June of 2022, Stray Kids arrived back in Korea after they completed their concerts in Kobe and Tokyo for their Maniac tour. Instead of a warm welcome from their fans, the fans and the reporters flocked to the group, mobbing them on their way out of the airport. The crowd quickly turned messy, with people desperately trying to get a chance at the group, which resulted in Han getting caught up in the mob and falling down on the floor. In many of the videos shared online, the bodyguards are heard urging people not to push and fans asking Han if he was okay after he fell. It seems like Han hurt his elbow in the process because he was seen gripping his arm in pain, all while the reporters took pictures like nothing was happening. Thankfully, his injury didn't seem serious, as he was then seen waving to their fans to assure them that he was okay. Still, many stays condemn this type of behavior as something way more serious could have easily happened. They also noted that Han has previously struggled with anxiety and to be more respectful when greeting them at the airport. Just a few months prior, in January of 2022, the same thing happened as well when the group was mobbed at the airport in Seoul. The second the group began to walk through the airport, a massive group of fans flocked to them, making it almost impossible for the boys to walk. At one point, the boys had to hold on to each other so they wouldn't get swayed by the crowd. Fans who watched the mob happen in real time through a live stream were extremely concerned, especially after Felix was seen tripping and falling while entering the gates. Although none of them addressed what happened at the airport, Bangtan removed his profile picture on Bubble shortly after the incident. Many fans speculated that this could be a subtle way to express his disappointment with what happened. Stays have been urging JYP Entertainment to strengthen their security measures for a long time, not only because Stray Kids have been hurt and mobbed at the airport, but also because there have been actual threats towards their well-being. The most serious one happened in July of 2022 when the situation got so bad that the police got involved. A Stray Kids auntie posted a series of threatening tweets on Twitter, tweeting about physically hurting the members or bringing the biggest weapon they own to see the group at the concert in Oakland. Immediately, Stays found the tweets and they quickly began to report the tweets and the account, with a lot of them also reporting it to the group's agency and the authorities. The Oakland Police Department posted on Twitter that additional officers would be present at the venue and that they were in touch with the FBI as well. Thankfully, the venue's security restrictions didn't allow any metal items in the arena, and both the group and fans managed to have a fun night despite the initial fear. The urges to strengthen their safety and protection measures became desperate in July of this year when there was an alleged attempt to harm the members with a laser pointer. The incident happened during one of their fan sign events in China. It began with an account on the platform Weibo making concerning statements that threatened Felix and Hyunjin, which appeared online in June. The post included pictures that were edited to appear disturbing, as well as misinformation about Hyunjin. The post accused Hyunjin of physically hurting Felix or having a workplace romance with two females at the same time. The account's post threatened to point lasers at Felix and other members who were nominated by other users in the comments. Lasers can be extremely dangerous since they can cause permanent vision loss within a few seconds. Stays were afraid that the owner of the account and the people who reacted to the threatening post would actually attend the fan sign. Despite calling out to JYP to take action, it seemed like Bangchan and Felix ended up being targeted by a laser after the event ended. In the video, fans are heard calling Bangchan's and Felix's names as green lights flashed around them. It seemed like the main targets were Bangchan and Felix, along with the staff members that were present. Stays didn't hold back from sharing their anger, especially after they sent many warnings and emails to the company about the possible laser attack. Although JYP claims to be doing its best at protecting its artists from outside harm, Stays feel like the agency isn't doing enough. It seems like the latest victim of a laser attack might be Eno. The video was posted on TikTok on August 21st, and it appears that Eno's eye was hit directly by a laser during their appearance at KCON LA 2023. One of the Stays that attended the show posted a video of Eno walking down the aisles full of fans, and fans' concerns grew immediately after they noticed a possible laser dot directly in his eye. They started to point out the laser on the OP's TikTok, who actually replied to a few of the comments stating that they were sitting next to the stationary cameraman and that they're hoping that it's just a green light from the camera crew. The video still trended across social media, with many fans adding the hashtag JYPE Leader of Disappointment to show off their anger. To them, the agency hasn't done a good enough job of protecting the members from possible attacks. Other fans decided to see if the light could be something else, and many pointed out that it could be a phenomenon that's often found in pictures of ghosts. A small light orb appears if a picture is taken with a strong light source coming in. Because there were so many lights and cameras at KCON, it's more likely that this is just an orb and not an actual laser. We've said this a lot of times, but here's another reminder that these idols are just humans and none of this behavior is ever acceptable or justified. And unfortunately, the worst wasn't over. There's even more shocking behavior from fans that Stray Kids had to endure. K-pop idols are used to dealing with very demanding fan bases who can often be downright disrespectful. However, Stray Kids might just be one of the groups who have suffered the most because of their relationship with their fans. Stray Kids are currently in the midst of their Latin American tour, and it's the behavior of some of their fans that has sparked major backlash lately, with viral videos having drawn attention to some disturbing incidents. From fans stalking the group outside their hotel to their free time at the beach, many were outraged to see how others were willing to treat the group during their first time in Latin America. Some particularly upsetting videos showed fans standing outside of their hotel in Brazil while going as far as chanting their name and singing some of their songs in hope that the members would hear. Not only was this a disturbance to all the other hotel guests, but netizens pointed out how Stray Kids were unable to properly rest before their concert because of the large group of people right outside their window. One video showing one of the members standing outside on the balcony was met with heavy criticism by the fandom, as they felt like the member was physically uncomfortable by the fact that their fans were being such a disturbance. The video triggered a wave of strong criticism, with people questioning how the hotel's location was even leaked in the first place. Others took to social media to denounce the Sasaeng behavior, calling it an embarrassing and disrespectful invasion of privacy. People also couldn't help but point out how the members being stalked and disrespected in their free time could lead to Stray Kids not wanting to revisit some of these destinations. If a member can't even step outside for some fresh air without being instantly overwhelmed with screaming fans, why would they want to come back to that? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more news covering your favorite K-pop groups, and make sure to leave a comment with your opinion on the matter. Another upsetting incident during the Latin American tour happened when Bangchan excitedly shared his love for a dish, thinking it was Chilean. While this was a simple mix-up, most fans were surprised to see that he seemingly got backlash from Chilean fans for his mistake, to the point that he had to make a long and heartfelt apology. Many fans felt the apology was unnecessary, but others believed Bangchan had been criticized so often before that he felt pressured to over-apologize for the simplest mistake. However, others took to the defense of Chilean fans of the group, as it was pointed out that most of them didn't see the whole thing as a huge deal either, and that they didn't understand why the apology was necessary. Some comments online even said that they never saw a single person complain about Bangchan's mistake, and that in fact all Latin American fans were extremely happy to just have the dish mentioned. The apology didn't seem to make sense to anyone, and many even pointed out that this might be a direct result of the way the fandom interacts with Bangchan, since a lot of fans seem to have a very parasocial relationship with the leader of the group. What upset some fans was seeing others blame Latin American fans for this, even though similar situations have happened before. Some fans were even shocked by the idea that Stray Kids should avoid certain cities, as holding an entire continent responsible for a few people's actions does nothing to actually protect the group from future issues. It's widely believed, though, that the frustration with Bangchan, particularly among international fans, was the cause of another incident. He had reportedly only asked Korean fans about their lunch and the weather back home, making some feel ignored during the Latin American tour. In fact, there have been ongoing complaints from fans who feel the group favors Korean fans, especially on Bubble. Seeing the way this has seemingly put Bangchan on edge, many felt like his apology with the food could have been influenced by the fact that some fans had scolded him for addressing only Korean fans. Some fans wrote comments like, "I do think it's in poor taste when Stray Kids go on tour, especially to new places, and turn around and send Bubble messages directly to Korean fans. It's so easy to just not." It's even been noted that some fans have waited 7 years to see Stray Kids come to their home countries, and that the members of the group should do their best to be as loving as possible to those fans when finally being able to visit them. This has seemingly been a recurring issue with some international fans since their Maniac tour back in 2022, where they raised similar issues in online spaces. However, it's also been pointed out that Bangchan is one of the members who is often most accommodating to their international fan base, which is why many were hurt by his Bubble messages. While some fans saw this as disrespectful, others were very critical of this behavior, arguing that the members should be allowed to talk about what they want on Bubble. It was even mentioned that it's impossible to accommodate all time zones and that the members can't always address everyone at once. Of course, the parasocial relationship that the fans have with the members is a serious problem, but this goes further because many of them often seem to want to decide things for the group as they think they know what is best for them and like to verbalize this as much as they can. Another comment has stated how these issues also always seem to surround Bangchan, with some fans seemingly never being sufficiently satisfied by how well he treats his fans. The netizen also pointed out how Bangchan might even have had a hand in causing this sort of behavior, as he often encouraged fans to think of him as a very important presence in their lives, saying, "Bangchan and fans both need time out from one another, frankly, because both seem to be emotionally overactive to an unhealthy degree." However, as many other fans have pointed out, Bangchan is hardly deserving of all the blame he's getting, as he truly is just trying his best to treat fans the best he can. Despite the hate and disappointed comments, he still does his very best to include international fans, especially as he has been thanking his Latin American audience after every show and shown great excitement to be abroad. Unfortunately, it seems like at the end of the day, pleasing all fans can truly be an impossible task that no idol deserves to get hate for. Stray Kids Hyunjin also found himself at the center of a disturbing wave of hate last year, all on what should have been a joyous occasion during his birthday. Instead of simply celebrating the day with fans, Hyunjin was met with a wave of malicious messages, many of which appeared to come from supposed fans of fellow member Felix. This shocking display of hostility escalated to an alarming degree, with people even going as far as threatening his life with a seemingly organized hate campaign flooding social media platforms. There were fans who went as far as hijacking Hyunjin's birthday hashtags on Weibo, flooding them with hateful remarks, face-shaming insults, and disturbing messages. Additionally, these individuals changed their avatars to a chilling phrase like Day Hyunjin, all with the intent to ruin his special day. The sheer cruelty of these actions left the fandom in shock, with many expressing outrage that fan wars had escalated to such extreme levels. Seeing this, a lot of fans started rallying to counteract the hate by flooding social media with love and support for Hyunjin, not just for his birthday. These fans took it upon themselves to send messages of encouragement, post fan art, and ensure that positive hashtags drowned out the negativity. Many did their very best to shield Hyunjin from seeing the hurtful comments and to remind him that he is deeply loved by a lot of people within the fandom while simultaneously trying to get rid of all the negative accounts online. However, this situation also reignited an ongoing conversation about the toxicity of solo stans within a group's fanbase, as this isn't the first time that one member's fanbase has turned on another member so extremely. While supporting a favorite member is normal, some fans take their biases to an extreme, attacking other members they perceive as competition or as taking attention away from their favorite idol. Unfortunately, this wasn't the only serious attack against Hyunjin, as just last year, a protest truck appeared outside JYP Entertainment's building a week before his birthday, demanding that he leave Stray Kids entirely. The messages displayed on the truck accused him of being responsible for tarnishing the group's reputation, referencing multiple past controversies. Among the accusations, the protest truck brought up Hyunjin's past mistreatment controversy from 2021, an issue that had led him to take a hiatus for several months. At the time, old allegations surfaced accusing Hyunjin of being a school tormentor during his pre-debut days. While he issued an apology and personally met with the individuals involved, the controversy isn't something that the group has been able to escape, despite how innocent Hyunjin might have been. Though he was able to return to group activities, some fans have never fully moved on from the situation and continue to demand his departure from Stray Kids. One huge issue people had was when Hyunjin's name was dragged into a rumor involving the trainee Han So-hee, as a screenshot of a supposed chat log suggested that Hyunjin had a connection with her. Even though the rumor was quickly debunked and the allegations were heavily denied, with even the original poster admitting that the chat logs were fabricated, the damage had unfortunately already been done, with anti-fans seizing the moment to spread negativity against him. Hyunjin in particular has faced relentless criticism over the years, with some fans feeling that he is unfairly targeted compared to other idols who have faced similar or even more severe controversies. For many fans, the ongoing attacks against Hyunjin are exhausting and heartbreaking. With most of the fandom being loving and dedicated fans of his, they have long argued that while he has made mistakes in the past, he has taken accountability and worked to move forward. They find it deeply unfair that certain groups within the fandom refuse to let him grow beyond his past and continue to always try to paint him as the villain at every opportunity. Many also expressed frustration over how easily misinformation spreads and how quickly some fans turn against idols based on unverified claims, as it can often lead to more severe consequences as seen in the past. In fact, to many fans, Stray Kids would not be the same without Hyunjin, as he is not only one of the group's main dancers, but also a core part of their identity and artistic vision, something that the group holds very dear. And Stray Kids aren't the only targets. SSERAFIM has also faced some of the rudest treatment imaginable from their fans. While fans are supposed to be the biggest supporter of their favorite celebrity, some of them take it way too far, and the line between adoration and disrespect gets blurred. If you want to find out all the times SSERAFIM were victims of their own fans' rude behavior, keep on watching and make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It's unfair to deny the positive progress that has happened within the K-pop industry over the last few years, but there are things that haven't changed at all. With thousands of people calling for body positivity and warning people about making unwanted comments about people's appearances, there are a few who simply can't help themselves. In October of 2023, Chaewon and Kazuha jumped on their Weverse account to host a live stream. It was the night of the last concert of their Flame Rises tour, and Chaewon and Kazuha decided to wrap up the last concert in Jakarta by chatting with their fans. The girls also ordered delicious food, and it also dabbled as a mukbang show. While the girls were munching away on the yummy food, Kazuha was the first one to notice several comments about their weight that rubbed her the wrong way. She decided to read them out loud, prompting Chaewon to notice them as well. The netizen behind the comment expressed their worry about the girls gaining weight, and while their intention was to possibly shame them for enjoying food, Chaewon brushed the comment off with some humor. Chaewon replied with, "I'm going to be a happy pig then," showing that she really doesn't give a damn about comments targeting their weight. Weight used to be a very tender topic for the members, especially during their pre-debut days. When HYBE uploaded the third episode of the group's document series The World Is My Oyster in 2022, the fans managed to get a glimpse of the behind the scenes of the road to their debut. The girls were already dealing with a lot of stress and pressure as their debut was nearing, and on top of it all, there was the added pressure to lose more and more weight. Sakura was even seen crying after one of their managers prompted them to lose more kilograms. She began to tear up as she explained that it was hard to watch the members struggle with weight loss despite all of them working so hard. Even though Chaewon agreed with the manager's suggestion, claiming it was for for their own good, many of their fans were enraged since the members appeared to have very thin figures already. It's very uplifting to see how the girls' perspective shifted over the years and how they are now enjoying their food without much worry. SSERAFIM's youngest member Eunchae unfortunately also got to witness how two-faced some of their fans can be. In 2023, the group went viral across social media for their reaction to a very inappropriate question targeted at Eunchae. At the time of the incident, May of 2023, Eunchae was still a minor as she celebrated her 18th birthday a couple of months later. While the group has been constantly praised for their concept and incredible outfits, all of it was considered quite mature by many, and there have been concerns about how appropriate these outfits and choreographies are for Eunchae, who has been a minor through it all. Some of the group's outfits include very short shorts, and while their choreographies are captivating and often go viral on social media, some of them feature the members bending forward, and such a simple move can unfortunately attract a lot of creepy people on the internet. During one of their fan meetings, one of the fans asked if it's possible for Eunchae to do a racy concept in the future. Judging the girls' reactions after hearing the question, neither of them were pleased and tried to cover their shock by laughing. Chaewon was the only one who didn't try to mask her reaction as she confessed this was the first time she heard such a question. Other members crossed their arms as if they didn't even want to imagine a minor doing a concept like that. While other members tried to playfully dodge the question, Chaewon seemed really uncomfortable by the prospect of it and immediately shut down the idea. While many netizens appreciated the girls' quick reactions, most of them were displeased and angry that this question was even allowed. The fact that this question was also asked by someone who called themselves a fan of the group didn't sit right with most of their fans and netizens either. It also further fueled the discussions within the K-pop fandom space about which age is appropriate enough to debut and if minor idols are protected enough. Fan sites are the backbone of all K-pop fandoms as they often provide gorgeous and high-quality photographs of idols. They also often organize all kinds of events to support these idols, such as cup sleeve events or birthday campaigns. In recent years, there has been a resurgence in these fan sites often crossing the line to obtain exclusive content. Last year, in November of 2024, one of the SSERAFIM's fan sites called Cherish brought these concerns back when they shared a couple of pictures of Eunchae in London, where the group traveled for the MTV European Music Awards. These pictures portrayed Eunchae in casual clothing as she shopped at a popular grocery store. Eunchae seemed completely unaware that she was being photographed, which made many of their fans worry for the girl's safety. The fan site also released a video of Eunchae checking out her purchase, and while Eunchae had no idea she was being filmed, the people around her appeared uncomfortable. One fan on Twitter wrote, "Fan site videos in Tesco. We've officially reached new levels of crazy. Even the lady at the end was weirded out." Because Eunchae wasn't out to attend a public schedule and neither it was a closed-door professional event, the fact that this fan site tracked her down sparked major concerns for possible stalking. Considering that the person behind the fan site didn't think anything wrong about following Eunchae through the grocery store only confirms that some fans really don't care about any of the idol's boundaries or their personal lives. The fragile line between idols and fans became clear in 2023 when someone claiming to be an anti-fan made direct threats against Sakura's safety. A few weeks before the group was going to appear at the Tencent Music Entertainment Awards in China, the anti-fan wrote a statement where they claimed they would be waiting for the girls' performance at the award show. From their seat in the front row, they threatened to throw darts at Sakura, adding that they would take full responsibility for their actions. The Weibo account that shared this message had around 15,000 followers, and an overwhelming number of other users supported the original poster's actions. Many of their fans called out to Source Music to ensure tighter protective measures against the group, worrying that the threats could have legitimacy. No harm came to her, but knowing that someone felt comfortable making those threats is terrifying to think about. The disrespect doesn't always have to be in the form of rude comments, though. They can administer their intentions by simply not supporting the girls in their endeavors. In 2024, when SSERAFIM were just about to come back with their song Easy, Sakura's largest Chinese fan site Sakura Bar shared they would not be supporting the group's impending comeback. On their Weibo account, the fan site stated that Sakura's fans have supported the group, their releases, and other activities despite HYBE and Source Music's constant disappointing actions. As a result, Sakura Bar made the decision to only support Sakura's solo activities and her birthday, seemingly choosing to celebrate whatever wasn't tied to HYBE and Source Music. On their Weibo account, the fan site wrote, "After sending a protest truck to voice out concerns about Sakura, Sakura Bar has decided not to support the upcoming comeback album. Instead, we will only support individual projects and Sakura's upcoming birthday." Despite HYBE and Source Music's missteps, fans worldwide eagerly celebrated SSERAFIM's comeback, fully aware that the group had nothing to do with the company's decisions. While fans might be frustrated with how an artist is managed, many believed that withdrawing support would only end up hurting the artist even more. Since SSERAFIM frequently engage with fans on social media, they unfortunately attract a flood of threats and hateful messages from malicious individuals. For some reason, these people seem drawn to the group, turning their comment sections into a toxic space. This is exactly why their comment sections were completely turned off in July of 2024. Be it their Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok accounts, their fans didn't have other options for interacting with the members except to like and share their posts. While they didn't announce the reason why their comments were disabled, it wasn't hard to figure out that it was because of the increasing malicious comments that the group was receiving. These comments came from random netizens or proclaimed haters from the group, but there were also some fans who behaved very strangely. The comments got so bad that fans became genuinely concerned for the members, and some of them even called for a hiatus just to protect them. While the comment sections across the group's social media were reopened a couple of weeks later, the individual members' Instagram accounts still have the comment sections turned off, and judging by how hateful and evil people have been towards them, it's truly for the best. 2 days ago, Yoonjin released an emotional post where she seemingly addressed all the hate and criticism she has received over the years. In the letter, she shared that she is aware she might not be perfect and that she is constantly changing and trying to be a better person. In the letter she penned, she confessed that all of last year, she asked herself one question, and that was, how do we survive this? She continued by writing, I remember nights of doom scrolling through comments, knowing I shouldn't, when even my morality failed to suppress the longing for someone's kindness. I remember loneliness. I remember the fear of the end. Many of their fans couldn't help but become emotional after reading Yoonjin's honest and raw thoughts about feeling lonely. Many of them condemned those people who made the girls' lives feel like a living hell, knowing that Yoonjin specifically read all of them and questioned her existence because of them. While these past years haven't been kind to SSERAFIM as they have been torn to shreds for the smallest things, we truly hope their future is going to be much brighter and happier. Meanwhile, 17 has had their share of fan outrage, proving that no group is immune to extreme behavior.
The moments where 17 members were disrespected and even harassed by their own fans were sometimes even caught on camera, and they're equally sad and terrifying to watch at times. Stalkers everywhere. With 17 having that big of a fandom, it's no surprise that there are some fans who are terrible human beings and who push the members' boundaries with the excuse that they're fans. Sasaengs are a problem for every group out there, but not only did this crazy fan find a way to film Mingyu, but he was the one who was blamed for it in the end. On March 8th, YouTuber Soljung posted a video on the controversy involving Mingyu. The video showed Mingyu picking up a female staff from behind, and it caused quite the uproar among delusional fans and people who think that idols owe us anything when it comes to their private life and relationships. But people being focused on the fact that he was picking up a female staff took away from the real issue. He was being filmed without consent from a hidden place. It got worse when people found out that the Sasaeng got into the closet to film him backstage. This was found out based on the camera angles. So naturally, normal people got mad at the Sasaeng for invading Mingyu's privacy. A Twitter user said, "Someone should at least lock this person inside the closet, weirdo creep." Fans even sent emails to Rudest asking for them to protect their artist's privacy. They wrote, "You should be informed that a private video of your artist is being spread around without their consent. The video was taken backstage and it's a violation of privacy. We would like to know if any action could be taken regarding this problem." However, as of April 2022, Rudest hasn't taken any action, which is really scary. If these Sasaengs know that there are no consequences for their actions, how are they going to stop? Hotel break-in. Speaking of Sasaengs, Wooji himself had a terrifying experience with one of them. On April 4th, 2019, while 17 were on their 2019 Japan tour Haru, a Sasaeng of Wooji somehow found his hotel room and snuck in to place a gift for Wooji. They hung the gift bag on the doorknob of Wooji's hotel room and wrote, "I can't give this to him at the box at the venue, so I put it in front of his room. I chose a fragrance that is close to what Wooji likes. Please use it. I attached a letter too." They had the right idea to give him something he would like, but couldn't they have just given the gift to him at the fan meeting? Fans were furious at the fact that these crazy stalkers could just sneak into the rooms of the members and potentially put them at risk. They emailed Rudest to ask for better security for the boys, and some even asked that the 3-day Okinawa fan meeting cruise be cancelled in case the Sasaeng snuck in again. Rudest unfortunately didn't release a statement on whether they would take action to prevent things like this from ever happening again. Flying objects. While it's common for Western artists to have fans throw things on stage like flags or flowers, the same thing can't be said for K-pop idols. In fact, fans are discouraged from throwing things on stage in case they end up hurting the artists. And that's exactly what happened to the 17 members. On August 26th, 17 had a performance at Terminal 5 in New York for their first world tour, Diamond Edge. A video that a fan took of the concert shows someone throwing their belongings, including their cell phone, among among other things. They also threw stuffed animals at the members. The members told the fans to be careful in the nicest way possible, but it wasn't effective. Seungkwan can be heard saying, "I'm sorry to say this while we're having such a great time, but it can be dangerous if you throw things." While people are aware that the fan probably just wanted the members to take pictures with their phone, the way that they did it was highly dangerous for them to throw a phone at the members. The stuffed animals, while still disrespectful to throw, aren't putting the members at risk, but a phone? What were they thinking? Dino getting mistreated. You'd think that in this day and age, there would be no instances of members of groups being ignored by fans, but here we are once again. In 2019, 17 held a fan meeting in Japan as part of their 17 Japan Toroharu, and the fans who went there left furious at the treatment Dino was getting from other fans. According to some fans, a lot of people skipped Dino when it came to shaking hands with him. A fan wrote, "My sister went to handshake event today. Dino was making a sad face because some people skipped him. When my sister shaked hands with him, he said thank you with a big smile, and he shaked hands with me for the longest time." Just thinking of Dino being ignored by the group's own fans makes me so sad. Some people said that these fans went so far as to push him around and shove him. A Twitter user said, "They ignored Itan at the fan meeting in Japan. Some people say that he was allegedly being pushed. There's no video evidence of this, but it wouldn't be the first time that fans didn't appreciate Dino. The fan sites didn't post pics of him from events, and his individual fan cams get significantly less views compared to his bandmates." In response to this, fans trended the hashtag Itan Protection Squad and wished that they were there at the fan meet to cheer Dino on. They also wished for this to never happen again, and I truly hope it never did. He deserves better. Violent fan meet. This fan meet went viral on social media for some time, and it was for all the wrong reasons. In October of 2015, 17 held a fan meet for their fans, and a Chinese fan site of Joshua attended to see her bias. However, when it was her turn, she was caught throwing a tantrum when she thought Joshua was frowning at her. Now, this is a dumb reason to get angry in the first place, but it gets worse once you find out that Joshua didn't actually frown at her, but that he actually just had a sty on his eye, which was very visible since you can see his eye was swollen in the pictures. The fans still threw papers angrily on the table and stormed off with people looking at her in shock. The fans still went online after the fan meet to tweet about her experience, and it did not get any better. She says that everything she did was excused because she spent a lot of money on Joshua. She wrote, "Who pays for the bills when your idol wanted this and that? I pay for the advertisement at the railway station when you want to get more popular. Can the fans who scolded me on Twitter do so? I accept everyone who blames me. Yes, this is my fault. I admit I'm bad at controlling my emotions. But to those who attacked and scolded at me, please go as far as you can, okay? Not everyone can be so silly and short-sighted like you are." After ranting for a while on Twitter, the so-called fan also posted an apology. She wrote, "I am sorry for what I have done today. I am sometimes unable to control my emotions, but I feel truly sorry and regretful for my actions today. I have hurt Joshua and many of his fans today. I am sorry for worrying everyone and will take full responsibility for my actions." She also said that the rumors about her hitting Joshua weren't true, and all she did was just throw the papers on the table, just like it was captured on video. The fan site reportedly stopped being a fan of him and closed their Twitter account. Good. The fandom doesn't need people like this getting anywhere close to the boys. The netizens were also terrified of the fan site's reactions, writing, "It's giving me goosebumps at how the members' expression changes and how the fans' attitude changes in her last apology." And I have to agree with the netizens this time. Mistranslation issues. Accusations of harassment are taken very seriously in South Korea and could ruin careers even if they happened years ago. So imagine the mess that happened when Mingyu was accused of being part of a group that used to mistreat and torment other students. The accusations from the original poster were quite serious, so netizens were quick to cancel him when there was no official statement from neither Pledis nor Mingyu. When the netizens were still running their mouths with no proof, a so-called fan of 17 took it upon themselves to translate one of the statements from the alleged victims, and it went horribly wrong. The fan went on to say that Mingyu allegedly harassed a female student and tormented a disabled classmate, which were very serious accusations on their part. They wrote, "Basically, Mingyu made harassing comments to a girl in his class and told everyone else in Hakwon horrible rumors about her, and she had to go to therapy for it because the comments were that bad. Not only did they mistranslate the statement, but they also added the therapy part all on their own." The actual translation accounts came out saying that the statements weren't true and the Twitter user had mistranslated everything for the worse. They apologized, but then went private afterwards, which resulted in the apology being spread around just as much as the rumor. But whether the mistranslation was on purpose or not, the damage had already been done. Antis and media outlets such as All Kpop and Koreaboo were reposting the tweet like crazy, to the point that it reached netizens who grew
grew even more furious with Mingyu and asked for him to be kicked out of the group altogether. The translation keeps getting spread around to this day, and Mingyu's name keeps getting dragged through the mud for nothing. What's the rudest thing the fans have done to 17 in your opinion? But sometimes the harm goes beyond rude messages. Fans have said some of the weirdest and cruelest things imaginable in K-pop history. After the pandemic, one-on-one video calls quickly became a key part of how K-pop fans connect with idols. Without other fans around, the setting feels more private, which can make the experience even more special. But not everyone uses that privacy respectfully. Some fans cross the line, leaving idols in uncomfortable or even tense situations that are hard to ignore. Not long ago, TWS's Dahoon found himself in an awkward spot during a fan video call. The group is currently in the middle of promoting their album Try With Us, which means that they're doing all kinds of schedules, including online fan meetings. During one of these calls, a fan asked him if he liked younger or older girls. Dahoon responded by asking her age. When she said she was 15, he replied that he preferred older girls. Since he's 20, his answer made sense, but the conversation itself was already uncomfortable, and it got even worse as the fan didn't stop there. She pressed him on why, and after he pointed out her age, she shifted gears and asked him to move closer to the camera and pout. He followed her request, only for her to ask why he was trying to kiss her. Things got even more awkward when the translator had to step in, asking the fan to repeat herself. After hearing it again, the translator advised her to drop the topic because of her age. While many people applauded the translator for protecting Dahoon, others were upset with the fan for pushing past clear boundaries and putting him in an unfair position he clearly didn't want to be in. Ricky from Zero Base One had a tough fan call that left a lot of people frustrated, especially since no one was there to step in. It happened while the group was promoting their second mini-album, Melting Point, and the conversation started heading in the wrong direction pretty quickly. Instead of asking about the music or comeback, the fan made an odd request. They wanted Ricky to call them master or owner, claiming he was their little cat. He immediately shook his head, almost disappearing from the screen, and tried to steer the conversation somewhere else. But that wasn't the end of it. The same fan somehow managed to get another call with him and brought it up again. This time, they said they hadn't heard it clearly and asked him to say it just once more. When Ricky still said no, they switched tactics and tried guilt-tripping him, pointing out how expensive it was to even get one fan call, let alone two. Ricky stayed firm and didn't give in. Fans were relieved he didn't feel pressured, but many were angry that someone would push him like that, especially after it was already clear how uncomfortable he felt the first time. Some idols just can't catch a break during fan calls, and 17's members seem to deal with their fair share of weird requests. One common and uncomfortable one, fans asking to see their abs. Mingyu, for example, once had a fan ask him for a gift, and when he asked what they wanted, they said they wanted to see his abs. Mingyu looked visibly uncomfortable, tried to laugh it off, said no, and quickly ended the call, which received a lot of praise. Vernon hasn't been spared either. While promoting FML, he joined a video call with a fan who claimed the day's theme was Kardashian, immediately confusing him. She began speaking in a heavy Valley Girl accent and told him she'd be turning 18 in 10 days, asking for a birthday gift. Vernon responded with a laugh and said he'd get her a present if she dropped the voice, and unsurprisingly so, she didn't. When she asked what he thought of the concept, he bluntly said he didn't like it, clearly not enjoying the conversation. That wasn't even the most awkward moment he faced. In another call, a fan pretended to arrest him for being too hot. Vernon stayed stone-faced the entire time, visibly uncomfortable. It only got worse when she told him to raise his hands and blow her a kiss. He did it, barely, but it was clear he hated every second of it. While some fans think these kinds of jokes are harmless or funny, moments like these show just how uncomfortable idols can be when boundaries are ignored. Mark from NCT has also had more than a few uncomfortable run-ins during fan calls, especially with one fan who really pushed things too far. In one call, she brought up something vague about what he'd supposedly been doing in California. When Mark asked what she meant, she claimed he'd been hugging other girls and said it made her mad. Caught off guard, Mark laughed awkwardly and tried to keep things light, but quickly ended the topic with a polite, "Let's talk again next time." That wasn't the only strange interaction. In another call, the same fan pointed out that it was their 5th time meeting and scolded Mark for not remembering her. When he asked what they talked about before, she refused to say, calling it too awkward. Mark apologized again for forgetting and gently told her it might be time to move on since so much time had passed. She shot back that it had only been a month and that forgetting was completely his fault. The entire exchange frustrated a lot of fans who felt the caller was being unfair. With the massive number of fans Mark interacts with, expecting him to remember every detail from every call and then blaming him when he doesn't just didn't sit right with most people. call. Tweets from fans said, "She should be banned from fan calls," and "Y'all are horrible. Man is juggling a million things at the same time. The least y'all could do is be nice and send him support." Sadly, that wasn't the end of the strange behavior from this fan that Mark had to deal with. On another occasion, a video call got pushed back unexpectedly, something completely out of Mark's hands. Most fans understood, even if it was inconvenient. But the same fan used her time with her idol to complain nonstop about how exhausted she was from traveling and how the reschedule ruined things for her. Mark, being polite, apologized and tried to show sympathy. But instead of moving on, the fan doubled down and told him that if he really felt sorry, he should post something on Bubble, like it was somehow his fault the schedule had changed. The interaction made things tense fast. Mark's body language said it all. He looked visibly uncomfortable, stuck in an awkward situation he clearly didn't sign up for. Fans who had seen the call were furious and started urging SM Entertainment to ban the fan from future events, but so far nothing's been done. NCT's Johnny also had his own uncomfortable fan call moment, and it was awkward from the jump. Instead of using the chance to chat or share something kind, the fan jumped straight into a weird, overly detailed hypothetical. They asked Johnny to picture himself in the shower when suddenly the fire alarm goes off, forcing him to run out without clothes. Then came the question, if he only had one hand, would he cover his face or his private area? At first, Johnny gave a nervous laugh, probably hoping the fan was joking, but as the conversation dragged on and the fan kept pushing the scenario, his smile faded. He tried to steer it away by saying he'd grab a towel, but the fan insisted that wasn't allowed. Left with nowhere to go, Johnny just said he'd run outside unclothed. Fans watching the clip quickly noticed how uneasy he looked and criticized the fan for turning the call into something inappropriate. Comments from them said, "What happened to I love your music," or "You inspire me," and "Leave the man alone. Can't believe this really what y'all paying thousands to say to them." It's not just male idols dealing with these uncomfortable fan calls, as female idols face it too. Red Velvet's Seulgi once had a call where a fan asked her to try out a trend that was going around on Chinese social media. The trend itself was inappropriate, involving a gesture that mimicked grabbing someone's neck and pretending to smack them from behind. It wasn't just Seulgi who was targeted, as Karina from aespa was asked to do the same thing during a fan call, but Seulgi politely declined without making a scene, even though the request was clearly out of line. Her fans, however, were not so calm. Many were upset that she had to deal with something like that and argued that idols should be allowed to end a call the moment a fan crosses the line. Some even called for bans on fans who act this way. People need to realize that paying for a fan call doesn't give them the right to treat idols like objects or demand anything they want. That entitlement is completely unacceptable. Soyeon from Idol had a similar uncomfortable experience during a fan call while promoting Klaxon. A fan decided to show her something on their phone, which was a fan edit of the group members as cartoon characters. However, the edit included moments where the members' faces were swapped onto cartoons that were kissing each other. Soyeon's reaction said it all. She looked shocked, uneasy, and visibly disturbed, but she didn't speak up at the moment. Once the video of the call surfaced online, though, fans were quick to voice their outrage. A Twitter user summed up what everyone was thinking by writing, "Why would you even think this is a good idea? Like, do you realize she's a real human being and those are her real members you were showing made-up videos of?" It felt odd to some, given the strong sister-like bond the members share, yet there were still attempts to project unrealistic fantasies onto their relationships. One of the most unsettling fan calls happened with 17's Dino. While it wasn't anything inappropriate, it certainly left him shaken. The call started off typically with Dino being asked if he preferred long or short hair on girls. Though the fan had long hair, he mentioned he liked short hair. In response, the fan grabbed scissors and held them up to her hair. Dino immediately became visibly anxious, waving his hands and telling her to stop. He even reassured her that she was perfect just the way she was, but the fan proceeded to cut her hair anyway, leaving him in disbelief. Although the hair was apparently a wig, Dino still looked incredibly uncomfortable throughout the ordeal, so it's very unclear why the fan thought this was a good idea during a call with him. What do you think was the most shocking fan call? And for some idols, the toxicity became unbearable. RIIZE even admitted to growing frustrated and resentful toward their fans. RIIZE isn't the first K-pop group to deal with extreme fan backlash. However, after being forced to say goodbye to one of their beloved members, the group seems less than happy with their fan base. In late 2023, RIIZE's Songhan found himself in hot waters after private photos of him kissing a girl surfaced online. The images, which were leaked from his private account, quickly spread across social media, igniting a huge debate among K-pop fans and netizens alike. While some international fans stood by him, the Korean ones were less than forgiving, expressing strong disapproval of his actions. For many Korean netizens, the controversy wasn't just about Songhan being in a relationship, it was about timing and optics. RIIZE was gearing up for its debut, and the photos of Songhan kissing someone in a private setting felt like a betrayal to some fans. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon for K-pop idols to face intense scrutiny over their personal lives, but Songhan's situation took an especially harsh turn. Most members of the Korean public voiced their discomfort over the leaked photos, with one commenting, this is so unpleasant. They feel like they were taken as proof shots for him to show off in his group chat with his friends. Makes me feel so grossed out." As the backlash grew, Songhan publicly apologized through a letter posted on RIIZE's official Instagram account where he expressed regret for the situation, acknowledging that his actions had caused harm to his group and disappointed their fans. But despite his apology, the situation only intensified. SM Entertainment, the company behind RIIZE, tried to do damage control by announcing that Songhan would be placed on an indefinite hiatus. In their statement, they expressed disappointment over the unauthorized leak of the photos, but also noted that Songhan was deeply reflecting on the disappointment and damage he has caused to his team ahead of his debut. What made the situation even worse was the split reactions between international and Korean fans. While many Korean fans called for Songhan to leave the group, international ones rallied behind him, with most of the comments like, "He trained and is working hard as an artist. We are in 2023, you should have matured by this retrograde and ridiculous thinking." Even with support from international fans, the calls for Songhan to leave RIIZE only grew louder. Some netizens even argued that Songhan lacked the mental toughness needed to be an idol because of the way he quickly hid away following the controversy, even though it hadn't been his decision to go on hiatus. Shockingly, on October 11th, SM officially confirmed that Songhan would be rejoining RIIZE nearly a year after the initial incident. Fans had been unsure if he would ever come back at all, so news of his return was meant to mark a fresh start for him. However, instead of being welcomed back with open arms, Songhan was met with intense backlash from RIIZE's fan base in Korea. Most fans who had campaigned for RIIZE to move forward as a 6-member group voiced their frustration through boycotts and even public protests. The most shocking display of protest came in the form of funeral wreaths being left in front of SM's building, a traditional and somber symbol often used to signify passing or mourning. In this case, it was a clear message from fans that they did not want Songhan to return and that the group should continue without him. Some people went so far as to wish him harm, saying they wouldn't stop until he was out of the group, even if it meant he would have to take his own life. The public outcry was so overwhelming that just 2 days after SM announced Songhan's return, they backtracked, revealing that Songhan would instead be leaving the group permanently. The company then issued an apology to fans, acknowledging that their decision to allow Songhan to reflect on his actions before bringing him back had only caused more confusion and distress after seeing fan reactions. Songhan too released a statement of his own where he apologized once again to his fans and his group members, explaining that he didn't want to cause further harm to the group, which is why he has agreed to take his leave. As I reflected on whether I was only thinking of myself and if I caused significant harm to the company and the members, whether it is befitting for me to be in a group that is deserving of so much love, the only emotions that I experienced were feeling worried and sorry. In the end, he ended up stating that stepping away was the best option for everyone involved, despite those who wished to see him stay, as he clarified that he has no wish to create confusion and hurt fans. As the shocking news of Songhan's departure spread like wildfire, RIIZE found themselves in a devastating situation as the 6 remaining members were forced to deal with the fallout of saying goodbye to their friend. What made things even worse was the fact that the group had been in Madrid performing as part of the KBS Music Bank tour when news of Songhan's departure was announced. To make things worse and more devastating, they had to return home to South Korea that same day Songhan left, and their arrival was anything but smooth. Many fans who spotted them at the airport were quick to notice how upset the members seemed. They wore face masks and hats pulled low over their faces, but it was still clear to those watching that they had been crying. As they made their way through the airport, the group was surrounded by an unusually heavy security presence, and they refused to stop for fans. They even took a different exit route to avoid the crowd of waiting fans, leaving through a parking garage, most likely to avoid the backlash from the K fans who had dared to show up holding OT6 signs. Things only got worse from there as international fans started blaming Korean fans for the group's emotional turmoil. They asserted that the Korean side of the fandom had been overly critical of him, with one fan commenting, "The members wanted him back. This is so cruel to do. These boys aren't products, they're human beings." Supporters of Songhan also wasted no time flooding social media with hashtags like RIIZE7, Bring Back Songhan, and Justice for Songhan, calling for his return to the group and calling calling out SM for the way things had unfolded. They didn't stop at just voicing their displeasure. A boycott was organized, with fans pledging not to buy any SM products related to the group. Several K-pop retailers also announced they would stop ordering RIIZE merchandise once their current stock runs out, standing in support of Songhan. The hope was that if enough people stopped supporting the group, the company would have no choice but to listen to the demands to bring Songhan back. However, this tension between the two fan bases left RIIZE in a difficult position. Not only were they dealing with the departure of their bandmate and friend, but they were also facing the harsh reality that their own fan base had become divided. It's been an incredibly emotional and complicated time for the group, and while they hadn't directly addressed their feelings publicly, their tearful airport arrival spoke volumes. Many fans pointed out that it's extremely rare to see the boys be this distressed and visibly upset, as idols usually do everything in their power to uphold a certain image. Breaking protocol truly shows that something is seriously wrong, especially since the boys seem to physically try and hide away from the fans who showed up to welcome them at the airport. Fans have also pointed out that the group seems to grow more and more disdain for their fans for forcing their friend out of RIIZE and giving them no choice but to cut all contact in fear of consequences. The airport was only the beginning, as some have pointed out that the group is starting to drop subtle hints about Songhan's place in the group, as another group member was seen putting up 7 fingers instead of 6 while doing a cat whisker pose. This was only the beginning, as repeated incidents are giving fans more and more proof about how upset and disappointed the group is with their fans' actions. Even changing their 6-member choreo into a 7-member one to leave space for their missing member seems to be more than enough evidence for netizens. Others have also pointed out that Sohee has actually removed the RIIZE fandom name from his Weverse bio, as some people are speculating that he no longer feels supported by those who call themselves his fans. International fans have even suggested that RIIZE's relationship with their fan base may be permanently damaged going forward, and that their recent behavior reflects how they really feel. One fan put it bluntly as they called out the fans responsible for damaging RIIZE's overall relationship with the fandom, saying that the group will be forced to walk on eggshells for the rest of their career in fear of what could happen to them. For a lot of these fans, the idea that RIIZE would now have to be on guard around their own fan base constantly was deeply upsetting. Some even voiced concerns that the group might eventually disband if the pressure became too much, while some are even hoping for this to happen so that the rest of the boys won't have to deal with the toxic fan base. As things stand, RIIZE has been left in an incredibly challenging position, as they are now forced to adhere to a fan base who got their closest friend kicked from the group, while also trying to console themselves and those who are still mourning the loss of Songhan. Things have only gotten more widespread since, as even Korean news has now stepped forward to call out Songhan's Korean antis who have been advocating for his removal. Many people pointed out that things must truly be bad for the group if Korean news has decided to discuss the situation, especially since the main topic at hand has been how idols are not even allowed to be humans who have both good days and bad days. When discussing the Korean fans who are mostly responsible for the current situation, the news segment also made it clear that this isn't normal behavior and that SM's reaction was deeply shocking. They're not the most, they're not the majority, they're just the loudest and a very vocal, loud minority. The fact that they can wield this much power and influence on an artist's career trajectory is shocking. At the end of the day, despite the massive backlash against SM Entertainment, it looks like RIIZE is forced to continue performing for the fans who have caused them damage as the company continues to ignore their feelings. And when controversies escalate, even entire fandoms can turn toxic, as seen in the OnlyOneOf scandal. Smaller K-pop groups often count on devoted fans just to survive, but that loyalty can sometimes go too far. In the case of OnlyOneOf, one obsessive fan might be pushing things to the point where the entire group is at risk of falling apart. The situation began when OnlyOneOf members KB and 9 created their own TikTok accounts ahead of their North American tour in late March. As beloved K-pop idols, they quickly gained attention and started receiving TikTok gifts from fans. To explain, these gifts allow fans to buy TikTok coins and send gifts like cute stickers or flashy fireworks to their favorite creators as a sign of appreciation. The gifts range in price, and while most are small, some are more expensive, like the TikTok Universe gift, which costs more than $500, and the Lion gift, which costs nearly $400. One fan, known as Love, sent quite a few of these pricey gifts, which caught everyone's attention, especially since the fandom had speculated about the group going through financial struggles in the past. Though not confirmed, these rumors made fans think the live streams were partly a way for the group to raise money, which likely explained why Love was so generous. At first, KB and 9 didn't know much about the fan behind the gifts. In fact, KB asked during a live stream who had sent one of the larger gifts and admitted he wasn't aware of the cost. Over time, however, he realized just how valuable the gifts were. According to a document shared by one of the group's fans explaining the situation, things changed when a fan named Alex started consistently sending expensive gifts to KB during his TikTok streams. KB would always always thank Alex, as they consistently appeared and gifted at least one pricey item per session. However, things grew tense in early April when several longtime fans discovered they had been blocked by both 9 and KB on TikTok. These fans, who were well known in the community and had even been recognized by the members, had no idea why this happened. They assumed they must have unknowingly broken some rules, but still felt hurt and confused by the sudden blocks. During this period, whenever the two members went live on TikTok, the chats quickly filled with hate comments, and things escalated to the point where the members themselves were receiving threats. The situation worsened as some individuals began doxing viewers, revealing personal details like legal names and addresses. Additionally, anonymous accounts started impersonating other chat participants, using their names and photos to confuse both the chat and the members. Among those targeted were Love and Alex, though many others suffered the same treatment. On May 3rd, realizing things had spiraled out of control, KB's TikTok manager reached out to some fans for help with moderating the chat to prevent further issues. It was around this time that Alex was made a moderator. The following day, KB himself addressed the situation, urging the accounts to stop leaving harmful comments and threatening legal action against those responsible. The situation only worsened after these events. As mentioned earlier, Love, one of the targets of the doxers, was revealed to be Jamie, a fan known for stirring trouble in the group's community. Her reputation was far from positive, with many fans expressing their discomfort about her behavior. Jamie, allegedly a therapist and a group order manager, was called out multiple times for crossing boundaries with idols, bringing up sensitive topics, and exhibiting parasocial tendencies. These claims, along with others, continued to spread within the fandom, painting a picture of a problematic figure. A few days after she was doxed, Jamie reached out to KB, asking him to stop live streaming as well, expressing concern for his safety, and offering help with a police report, safety planning, and addressing the public allegations against her. Despite this, KB continued to hold live streams, which frustrated Jamie. She publicly accused him of prioritizing money over safety and suggested that he was forgetting their close friendship, implying a relationship beyond that of idol and fan. This statement drew criticism from fans, and Jamie then shared what she claimed were private conversations with KB on TikTok attempting to prove their friendship. However, fans quickly dismissed the evidence, claiming the conversations appeared doctored. They pointed out that KB's sudden switching between Korean and English seemed odd, and the Korean text appeared to be from a translation app rather than something a native speaker would write. Even if the conversations were real, fans argued Jamie shouldn't have shared them in the first place, calling for her to be blacklisted by the company. After Jamie began sharing screenshots, KB held a subscriber-only TikTok live stream, urging fans not to record it. During the stream, KB accused Jamie of being the one behind the harassment targeting him, 9, and the viewers, claiming she was connected to several of the anonymous accounts causing trouble. One of the moderators later stated that Jamie's account allegedly shared an IP address with some of the harassment accounts. He encouraged fans to trust his words and disregard Jamie's defense, even mentioning that she had been blacklisted from attending any of the group's events. In response, Jamie took to Instagram, posting multiple stories to deny all the accusations. She refuted being involved in any of the live stream issues and explained that her relationship with KB was complicated. Jamie demanded proof to back up the claims that she was behind the harassment, stating that she planned to stop supporting the group after the concerts. She also explained that her donations on TikTok were meant to be anonymous, as she didn't want to draw attention or cross any boundaries. Jamie shared a screen recording on her Instagram story that showed a conversation with KB's TikTok manager. In it, Jamie pointed out how KB's live streams had started to focus more on Alex, likely due to the attention Alex was getting from donations. The manager allegedly mentioned that KB saw Jamie as a good person and had asked them to block certain individuals, those who had been causing issues as mentioned earlier. This raised concerns among fans who were upset by the idea that KB might have asked to block longtime supporters based on Jamie's request. In response to the backlash, Jamie clarified on Instagram that she hadn't asked KB to block any fans, except for one person referred to as Person A, though the reasons for this request were unclear. She went on to mention other individuals she had personal issues with and speculated about why they might have been blocked. Jamie brought up a user named Jess, who was allegedly accused of breaking rules by recording OnlyOneOf during a fan chat in 2024. However, it was later revealed that another person had actually made the recording. Jamie also discussed the boycott of JNB Entertainment, the company that organized OnlyOneOf's recent US tour. For context, fans had called for the boycott due to the company leaking artists' flight information, failing to announce tour cancellations in a timely manner, and being unprofessional toward both the artists and fans. She also mentioned a user named Claire, Claire, suggesting she played a major role in the boycott, but this remains unconfirmed. Finally, Jamie referred to a user named Kristen, accusing her of lying, though Kristen has denied knowing what Jamie was talking about. KB addressed the ongoing issues in a TikTok video posted on May 11th, where he shared the difficulties he'd been facing due to Jamie's actions. He explained that she had been manipulating and harassing him for months, even going as far as leaking her own personal information to blame another fan. According to KB, Jamie pressured him to stop his live streams, claiming she had contacted the police because she felt unsafe. When he refused, she reportedly threatened his fans and sent fake messages to make it appear as though he had insulted them. Despite Jamie's accusations of mistreatment, KB shared that she had mistreated another fan. As he began to doubt her, Jamie allegedly threatened to release twisted versions of their private messages. The situation escalated when a new fan appeared during a live stream. Jamie grew jealous, targeted the fan, and tried to take over KB's broadcasts. KB said he eventually reached out to his manager, who noticed the strange behavior, gathered evidence, and confronted Jamie. However, she refused to change. KB expressed that he once believed Jamie was a caring fan, but now sees her as someone driven by jealousy, using manipulation, threats, and fake accounts to harm him and the fandom. He urged fans not to believe her, asked her to stay away from his supporters, and expressed his desire for peace and unity in future broadcasts. In the caption of the same video, KB explained that for years, Jamie had claimed other fans were mistreating her and often said she wanted to leave the fandom because of it. Trusting her, he believed she was trying to protect others. After hearing similar concerns from other fans, he took it upon himself to block individuals who were boycotting concerts or treating fans poorly, thinking he was helping the community. However, Jamie's behavior soon became more controlling. She demanded his full attention, accused him of hurting the fandom, and manipulated situations when he didn't meet her expectations. Eventually, KB asked his manager to intervene, but Jamie retaliated by spreading fake messages and twisting the facts. He revealed that fake accounts linked to her had been targeting his fans, spreading lies, threats, and causing harm. He assured fans that he had solid evidence and witnesses confirming Jamie's role in the harassment and misinformation. KB also clarified that any gifts or money from live streams had no influence on how he interacts with fans. He apologized to anyone affected, admitting that he had been misled in his efforts to do what he thought was right. He urged fans not to support Jamie, warning that she's still harassing others. Finally, he expressed concern for the real victims who were suffering due to her actions, dealing with stress, fear, and emotional pain. KB's apology, however, didn't go over as well as he might have hoped. While some fans appreciated that he addressed the situation and felt sympathy for how manipulated he had been, others were less forgiving. Many were frustrated, believing that KB should have set clearer boundaries from the start to prevent things from spiraling out of control. As a Twitter user wrote, "This is why idols low-key shouldn't be allowed to interact with fans like this." Some fans were disappointed that KB thought blocking fans was the best solution while trying to protect others. They even suggested that someone else manage his private social media accounts. Another part of his statement that sparked a lot of backlash was when he mentioned the boycotters. Many fans were upset, feeling that KB unfairly equated those who were boycotting to protect the group's safety with those harassing, doxing, and threatening others. As a fan put it, "If you still don't care to understand all parties and the reason why we did that, then it's not my problem anymore." In the end, the situation became a huge mess. While it's uncertain how this will impact the group in the long run, many fans have already stopped supporting them after the drama and apology. This has left many wondering if the fallout from all of this will have lasting negative effects on the group, but it seems like only time will tell. Some of the most extreme cases involve Sasaeng fans. The stories here are almost unbelievable.
Sasaengs are the biggest fear of K-pop idols. They often go to extreme lengths to meet their favorite idol, traumatizing them in the process. In today's video, we'll talk about the worst thing Sasaengs ever did to idols, the superglue incident. While all of these stories have been terrifying, this one is definitely the scariest of them all because Yoonho could have easily lost his life. It all happened in 2006 when Yoonho accepted a glass of orange juice from someone he assumed was a staff member. He drank the whole bottle, and shortly after drinking, Yoonho began to feel sick, claiming that there was a strange chemical smell to the bottle. It was later revealed that the orange juice was given to him by an insane Sasaeng fan who was trying to poison him. After testing, it was found out that the orange juice contained superglue, which caused Yoonho to cough up blood and vomit before he fainted. Although he was able to recover physically just okay, this incident really scarred him mentally and gave him everlasting trauma. Yoonho still forgave his attacker and expressed that he didn't want to see them go to prison because of their age. After Yoonho recovered, he decided to overcome his trauma by going through extreme exposure therapy since he was
too afraid to drink orange juice after the incident, and he decided to do just that in hopes that it will help him get over his fear. It took a long time for Yoonho to recover, but he can now drink orange juice just fine. Terrifying car accident. Sasaeng fans will do whatever it takes to get closer to the idol that they love, and they don't even care if it seriously affects their health. Unfortunately, Super Junior's Heechul encountered one of these fans back in 2011. On January 28th, Super Junior were visiting Singapore for Super Show 3. During their visit, Heechul and Lee-Took got into a small car accident due to Sasaeng's cars chasing their car and intentionally pushing them into a racing scenario. There were 7 cars involved in the accident, and 5 of them were occupied by Sasaengs. Thankfully, neither of them suffered any severe injuries and were fine, at least when it comes to their physical health. They must have been in a pretty big shock. Throughout the years, Heechul opened up about terrifying experiences he had with the toxic fans. Heechul shared, "When I unlocked the door and entered the house, they'd be hiding and looking from places like the boiler room. They took out their underwear to take pictures and hung their own underwear there." Heechul also shared a story about how he once had to change his phone number. As he was leaving the service center, he got a text saying, "Even if you change your number, we already know." It's hard to imagine what it's like to be an idol as it is. It's even harder knowing that people like this have zero shame and empathy. Almost taken away. Throughout their career, EXO's members have had some of the worst experiences when it comes to Sasaengs. In the past, some of their fans decided to dress up as boys so they could sneak into the boys' dressing room and bathroom in hopes of meeting their idols. This already sounds really creepy, but it's nowhere near what would happen in the following years. During their early years, EXO experienced something that surely left a lasting effect on them. One day, after EXO finished up one of their schedules, they headed towards their van that was waiting for them in front of the building. At that moment, none of them knew that it actually wasn't their van. It turns out that EXO Sasaengs rented a van that was identical to theirs and even parked it nearby. EXO had no idea that this was the wrong car and almost got in. These Sasaengs were pretending to be their managers, hoping that they would lure them in. Thankfully, their manager was with them at the time and noticed something strange was going on and stopped them from getting in. If it wasn't for their manager, EXO could have been easily taken away by these crazy fans. At one point, Sasaeng somehow managed to get into Baekhyun's brother's wedding reception and tried to get the attention of EXO members. Sasaengs infiltrating EXO's privacy isn't a new thing. There have been numerous reports of the boys being stalked in hotel rooms or on the plane after Sasaengs managed to find out their flight information. Baekhyun himself has had to deal with Sasaengs a lot throughout his career, as they often interrupted his live streams by calling him or even leaking his number. Idols don't get enough privacy as it is, but Sasaengs just make it so much worse. 12 years of terror. It's difficult to believe that Kim Jae-jung has had to deal with Sasaeng for 12 years, but it's the sad truth. Dealing with people breaking into and entering his house and feeling like he's constantly being watched used to be a daily task for him. It's happened so frequently that he's had to constantly change the locks on his doors. Jae-jung shared that he would receive pictures of his room, bedroom, or kitchen, but the worst thing about them is that he would be in the pictures as well. Sasaengs would break into his house, take a picture of him, and then leave. At one point, Jae-jung moved to a residence with a nice balcony, which he was really excited about. That excitement vanished when Sasaengs went above and beyond and moved into an apartment across the street from him. Jae-jung explained how he was never able to use the balcony in the end because every time he tried, the Sasaengs across the street would watch him. It got to the point that Jae-jung had to get the police involved. It was after someone repeatedly rang his doorbell, and when Jae-jung opened the door to see who it was, he saw people running down the hallway. After he caught them, he realized that they were some of the most notorious stalkers. Jae-jung is known for his extensive car collection, and at first, it seemed to be like an expensive hobby, but the real reason why he started is seriously heartbreaking. Jae-jung said, "Every time I got a car, the Sasaengs would find out and follow, so I tried to switch it to confuse them, but it never really worked. It seemed like this nightmare would never end, but thankfully it did, and Jae-jung can now finally lead a normal and safe life." Scarlet Letter. Taekyon's experience with Sasaengs is one of the most well-known among K-pop fans because of how horrifying and disturbing it is. All the way back in 2009, Taekyon received a letter from a fan, but instead of this letter being full of sweet and positive words, it was something straight out of a nightmare. The entire thing was written in actual period blood, and it sounds unreal, but it really happened. The fan even wrote a note to Taekyon that said,
"I dedicate to Taekyon my period blood. Oh Taekyon, you cannot live without me."
Obviously, this letter gained a lot of negative attention online. Enraged and disturbed netizens hunted down who was the fan behind the letter and began attacking her with hateful comments. As a result, the fan posted a note saying, "I apologize for bothering Taekyon as well as his fans. I didn't know it would get this big." The fan also clarified that she was not a Sasaeng, but just an obsessive fan. Honestly, there isn't much of a difference between the two. In 2021, Taekyon opened up about the time a Sasaeng fan broke into his hotel room while he was sleeping. He was sharing a room with another member, and since they were comfortable around each other, they sleep without any clothes. Then Taekyon explained that he heard female voices and that there were 5 to 6 girls who were giggling. Taekyon ended up cursing at them since the girls were foreigners, and even though he was laughing while telling the story, it must have been so scary. The insane woman. This is yet another story of Sasaengs crossing the line and becoming a threat to someone's life. In October of 2021, it was reported by Starship Entertainment that an unidentified woman broke into the company's building and came in contact with Gravity. She entered the building without permission and approached Gravity as the members were waiting for their schedule inside the building. It was revealed that the woman made physical contact with the members. The agency thankfully reported it to the police quickly, who began the investigation. Although not much of the details have been released yet, it's known that she snuck into the building by following other employees entering the company. Starship then released a statement saying that the agency has a zero tolerance for such behavior. All fans and netizens were understandably outraged by the woman, especially Gravity's fans, who were cursing the woman for traumatizing the members. Poisoned cake. Super Junior has seriously had their fair share when it comes to Sasaengs. A lot of these attacks were violent and dangerous and could have seriously ended in a catastrophe. While Hee-chol got into a car accident because of Sasaengs, Hangang also came across a fan who seriously wanted to hurt him. While he was still a member of Super Junior, he was given a cake by a staff member. At first, it looked like a sweet gesture. It's not that uncommon for idols to receive cakes from their fans. Except this was a Sasaeng who disguised themselves as a fan. When the staff members opened up the box, they saw something straight out of a horror movie. Inside the box, there were several bags of blood, a knife, and a cut photo of Hangang. It was also revealed later that the cake contained an unknown kind of poison in the form of a powder. Chemical attack. Ace members' mental health suffered greatly after they were attacked by a Sasaeng fan in February of 2020. The company revealed in their statement that on February 18th at around 10 p.m., there was an attempt at a superglue attack on the members' vehicle, which was parked near their practice room. The person behind the attack wanted to purposefully hurt the members and knew where the members were going to be and which route that they would take in advance. The agency immediately informed the police and added that because of this incident, the members experienced heavy psychological anxiety and a fear of the same thing happening again. Additionally, the company stated that not only will they take legal action against those who try to harm the group physically, but they will also be targeting those who spread malicious comments and rumors about the group online. It's suspected that the superglue was used in order to damage a part of the vehicle, which can prohibit it from working properly. Thankfully, the members were all safe because this could have ended tragically. And for idols, these dangerous fans aren't just a story, they're a real threat to their safety and careers. Sasaengs are one of the worst parts of the K-pop industry. From constant phone calls to stalking, their actions, driven by an unfulfilled passion, not only invade the privacy of K-pop idols to alarming levels, but at times they pose genuine threats to their lives. The case of Sasaengs in the industry isn't new, as it has transcended generations of idols. So let's begin the video with Ibon, who dealt with a freaky case of Sasaengs. For all of you that don't recognize the name, Ibon used to be a very popular singer and actress back in the 90s. In an episode of Kim Soo-mi's Did You Eat, Ibon shared that she had been kidnapped by a male fan. She said that back in the 90s, she had about 10 to 20 minutes before filming finished and was ready to go home. Since it was a very cold day, her manager had left before her so she could heat up the car, and Ibon was left all alone. After finishing filming, she was walking down a long staircase towards her car, and she suddenly lost consciousness right before reaching it. She woke up the next day in a room that she didn't recognize, so she obviously got scared. Ibon went on to say, "I heard from outside the room someone saying, 'Why did you bring her here and cause all this trouble?' I realized that my kidnapper may not want to harm me." Instead of getting scared further, she actually ended up confronting her kidnapper, who said that he did what he did because of his brother, who was a huge fan of hers. She spent the day with the two after she asked them to show her around the neighborhood and was eventually allowed to leave. As soon as she thought that her interactions with the two brothers were over, she mentioned that the fan attempted to propose to her by giving her an expensive sports car the very next day, but his advances stopped when she kept turning down his proposal. Thankfully, Ibon wasn't harmed, but can you imagine if the fans that kidnapped her tried to turn the crazy up a notch and actually did something to her? Just an insane situation. Second generation had their own horror stories with Sasaengs, especially Do Bang Shin-gi, who dealt with some of the worst Sasaengs known to the industry. They have a long list of instances in which Sasaengs not only invaded their privacies, but their families and acquaintances too, and even put their lives in danger multiple times. The stalking went on for years, with fans getting more unhinged every time. If we were to talk about everything, it would be a video on its own, so we'll stick to talking about a few incidents. A few years ago, Daejung was relaxing alone in a sauna. Unfortunately, a Sasaeng fan had followed him, as they always did, and snapped photos of him while he was asleep. These photos were later posted online, with the Sasaeng even claiming that she kissed him while he was asleep, and because Jae-jung didn't consent to the kiss, it would be a big violation if true. In another case, Jungmin had been driving and noticed that he was being followed by Sasaengs in taxis. This was unfortunately a daily occurrence for the members. On most days, there were around 150 taxis tailing Dolbang-shingi's cars and vans. Sasaeng fans used to pay a lot of money to these taxi drivers to drive them around all day and block Dolbang-shingi's van. But the case we're talking about involves Jungmin specifically. One time, Jungmin reached a breaking point with being followed and approached a taxi occupied by a fan. The Sasaeng wasn't pleased about being scolded by the idol and rolled up the window while Jungmin's fingers were still in there, causing him to bleed as his fingers were crushed. In another case, Jungmin got out of the car and physically dragged a Sasaeng out of a taxi. Some condemned his actions, while others said that the Sasaengs had it coming after years of harassing the members. Even Jungmin said that he developed a fear of taxis and school uniforms as he was reminded of the fans that followed him. The worst part of it all is when the police was contacted by Jae-jung to help stop a Sasaeng from entering his apartment, and he was told, "She's just a fan, you did all that and even reported her," and then was urged to let her go. Truly chilling. EXO Sasaengs also tend to get pretty intense even to this day. The members still receive calls by these obsessive fans on livestream, and they still get stalked to their apartments. But believe us when we say that the stalking used to be much worse. Once, a Sasaeng fan entered the group's dorm and stole the members' personal belongings, including their underwear. Then she put up Dio's briefs for sale for about $95 and tried to sell their hair strands and socks as well. Some Sasaengs even dressed as men and shaved their heads to enter the men's bathroom and stalk the members, while others have followed them to their hotel rooms, flights, and on vacations. One of the most notorious EXO Sasaengs is an obsessive fan of Suho's, who's only known by the nickname Rion. She's a Japanese Sasaeng fan who started following Suho around when she was only 16. From getting surgery to look like Suho's ideal type to giving him expensive things, Rion quickly became a notorious name in fandom spaces. She followed him everywhere and used really horrible language to ask him to do very inappropriate things to her, which makes him a victim of her advances. Rion also held up a sign that said, "Me Suho," which Suho saw and was visibly disgusted at. She used to be seen in every fan-taken video of Suho as she followed him everywhere and just wouldn't leave him alone. It's said that she gave up on Suho and instead became a Sasaeng fan of NCT, but that hasn't been confirmed. But one of the worst Sasaeng fans known to this day is that of Twice's Nayeon. She has a very persistent Sasaeng named Josh. He's a German fan who's obsessed with her and who runs a YouTube channel named Josh1994 where he often shares stories about his interactions with her. He's been stalking Nayeon ever since 2019, as in December of that year, he boarded a plane with the intention of expressing his love to her. It appears that he sincerely thinks that they're already in a relationship or will eventually be together and start a family. Josh claimed that he had good intentions when he approached Nayeon and said that it was Twice's managers who confronted him first. He also repeated that he genuinely loves Nayeon and wishes to date her, but believes that JYP Entertainment is plotting against him because he's a foreigner. Talk about having dangerous delusions. To make matters worse, Josh asked Nayeon to talk to him directly and thinks that people around her, including JYP Entertainment and Twice members, are influencing her thoughts negatively about him. This is why he had been very vocal about wanting to hurt the Twice members in the past, publishing Taeyeon's personal phone number after he contacted her and tried to get Nayeon's number. He had even threatened to take the lives of one of the members. If we get into all the things that he's done, we'd be here all day, so let's only mention some of the most out-of-pocket things that have been documented by Josh himself. In 2021, Josh allegedly attempted to contact Nayeon numerous times while supposedly being on the same flight as her, aiming to meet her. He also issued threats to fatally hurt her if she were to date someone else behind his back. Concerns about Nayeon's safety surged among fans due to this threat, prompting JYP Entertainment to take precautions back in 2020 and for Nayeon to even file a restraining order, but unfortunately, none of them have worked. In fact, the justice system has failed her so badly that he went back to Korea, even sharing his plans to live there just so he could have a chance to talk to Nayeon. We really need this guy to be jailed. Just like all of SM Entertainment artists, NCT also has their fair share of stalkers, even crazier than the others. However, today we're discussing only Judy Hoang, who's mostly known for breaking into Jaehyun's hotel room recently. However, her stalking has been going on for years before that, from buying their schedules and flight numbers from the staff to pretending to run into the members. It's even said that Johnny has called security on her before, but unfortunately that hasn't been enough to stop her. She can also be seen in a video for Johnny's YouTube show Johnny's Communication Center, appearing after the members with her face unblurred. Usually the staff blurs the faces of everyone in the background, but they left Judy's face unblurred, with the members even going as far as to position themselves themselves to hide her face. But she's so shameless that she posted selfies of herself with her friend, with the members being seen in the background. The worst thing that she did was breaking into Jaehyun's hotel room back in August of this year. She uploaded a few short clips from her break-in to try and show how Jaehyun lived in the hotel. In addition to being a stalker, Judy is pretty delusional as well. She also shared conversations with a friend where she had told said friend that she didn't break in but got the room's key card from someone else. Now, judging by the way Judy has been documenting all of her crimes, it seems that she believes Jaehyun is in love with her and was trying to insinuate that she was given the hotel key by Jaehyun himself. The truth is that since her family is rich, Judy has bought information from SM staff on numerous occasions and keeps trying to convince others that she's close friends with the members and even Jaehyun's girlfriend. People with these kind of delusions about celebrities tend to be dangerous, but the fact that she can fund her delusions makes this situation much more concerning. Rude fans, dangerous moments, and shocking stories that idols wish they could forget. These aren't just rumors, they're real events that could change their lives. If you want to uncover more of the wild side of K-pop, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.